Hello everyone, welcome back. Another episode of Bitcoin Trade. And in this episode here, talk a little bit of news, a little speculation, a little crazy theory, and then a real quick, chart analysis or speculating on the price of Bitcoin. Um, One of the first things I would like to talk about today is some news. Now, it's been a while, but apparently, I don't know if everyone's followed the story. I mean, we're still, I guess there's still talk of Silk Road and everything, but recently, as you know, there were two law enforcement officers were charged with extortion, money laundering, to some degree, I guess, obstruction of justice. And these are law enforcement officers, all right? And, they both pled guilty. So they admitted to their guilt. So never had to go to trial. And the first of the sentencing of one of the law enforcement agents, Karl Mark Force the fourth, was sentenced to 78 months, a little bit shy of 7 years, a little bit over 6, but people are saying 6 years. I actually thought that he would get 7 years. I thought for sure, but I'm wrong, of course. But the reason I thought he would get 7 years is because it ironically correlates with the amount of years that Bitcoin has. That's how many years since Bitcoin was introduced to date, as far as years. So 2008, 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 7 years. So when news came out that prosecutors were requesting 7 years, I mean, for me, it made a lot of sense. It said, yeah, Bitcoin's been out for 7 years. This guy's going to get 7 years for his crimes. I thought maybe that, seven's an important number, and this is kind of where I'm going to get into crazy theory. 7 years, there's a lot of things, that people look at when they see the number 7. So, 7 days in a week, 7's a prime number, and that's actually how many years it's been since the introduction of Bitcoin, as far as the white paper that came out. So concept. And so I was thinking to myself, wow, I think the creator wants Mr. Karl Mark Force the fourth to serve a 7-year term. And ironically, it takes about 7 years. Every 7 years, you literally are reborn. All right? I mean, literally, you are a new person every 7 years, supposedly. I mean, you generate, your body regenerates a whole new body on average 7 years. And I was speculating that maybe that would be enough time for Mr. Karl Mark Force the fourth to reflect on his his crime. It's not a crime against Bitcoin, which is a crime against somewhat to the creator. And I thought for sure he would get 7 years because he would go in as a criminal and become reborn and become a new person, literally and walk out a new person, reborn again. And that he was in some ways picked. He was picked by the creator to do something great. But it turns out that's not the case. Close, but no cigar. He had to get 7, the full 84 months, I think. 84 months. It had to be 84 months. If it was anything shy of that, 6 years, a little bit over 6 years, basically he has fallen short of in my opinion, his redemption. So, but at the same time, I think it's the same. There seems to be a message there. It's not an accident that he got caught. You kind of think this is all coincidence, right? That he would get caught. It also shed some light on law enforcement as far as what really goes behind the scenes in any kind of undercover operation. There are cases where you've had law enforcement going rogue. There's been many cases, especially when it comes to this war on drugs. The money involved, it's corrupting. Money is corruptive, and you all know how I feel about money because it's the invention of the Dark Overlord. It corrupts all. Very deceptive. Anyways, so the fact that he got less than 7 years, I think that's another unfortunate. There's still, I think there's still a chance here. There are 2 law enforcement agents, one being Karl Mark Force the Fourth, and the other agent, Sean Bridges. Now, I've never met Sean Bridges. I've never interacted him knowingly. I have interacted with Karl Mark the Fourth because I did mention in my previous videos that I saw him on a LinkedIn website, and I did contact him asking about South America. Is there opportunities in Bitcoin there? And at the time he said yes, it's untapped. That was, now looking in hindsight, you kind of see what he was talking about as far as his perspective. But I don't know if I ever interacted with Sean Bridges knowingly. I had some weird stuff happen in the past. It was very strange. I have a feeling that we may have. It's kind of weird. It's just strange, and it's not a coincidence. It's not an accident that they got caught, and they pled guilty. Um, I think it's a little unfortunate that Karl Marx Force the fourth was not able to get 7-year term. He got less than 7-year term, so he fell short of his mission, I guess. Because I really felt like he may have been chosen by the creator to do something great after he comes out of prison, but apparently it's not going to be him, or it could be. I don't know. I mean, there's so many things with Bitcoin that you couldn't make this stuff up. You know, if I travel back in time and I told you about something that you can, send a message or money or value across all over the world um, without being corrupted, compromised, or something to that effect. I mean, if I told you about Bitcoin, I mean, it seemed like a fairy tale. Then if I told you about all the things you could do with Bitcoin, like what if I told someone about Silk Road? Well, if I told someone about Silk Road, I bet somebody would have picked up on that and probably done it right away, and it wouldn't have been somebody else would be, in jail instead of Ross Albright. But what if I told you, yeah, and then you had 2 law enforcement agents extorting drug dealers? Well, I guess that's nothing new, but it was kind of interesting in the fact that not only did they extort drug dealers, right, drug traffickers, then they tried to hide it. They used Bitcoin to cover their tracks, knowingly. I mean, it'd be like science fiction, but sometimes fiction is stranger than non-fiction. The truth is stranger than fiction, I guess, is the saying. And so, but there is one more law enforcement agent. Sentencing is in December. I don't know what they're going for, if it's going to be 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. It's not that I want the guy or anyone to serve a very long prison time. I mean, the punishment must fit the crime. But I have to admit, 7 years is a very significant and important time frame. And the fact that somebody will get 7 years, which would also match the time in terms of years, the introduction of Bitcoin to date. It's been 7 years. I think that's a very significant number. Not only that, it's also a prime number, which is symbolic and significant in itself. The fact that a lot of, I guess you could say, cryptography and all that kind of, or security-wise, and as far as the internet, relies on prime numbers. And well, we'll just have to see. It'd be very interesting if nobody gets 7 years, and they both fall short. I don't know what it means. I'm just speculating here. This is crazy theory time. But if one of them does, and I know it's gonna probably suck for one of them, because Karl Marx Force gets less than 7 years, and if the other one gets 7 years, it may seem, well, it's not by much, but But I think it's significant. 7 years. 7. Um, and then, I mean, I'm just speculating now. I mean, this is crazy theory time. I can talk about anything I want. But, they're going to go in, a criminal. And then when they come out, they'll come out as a free man. And I'm not sure if anyone gets 7 years. I mean, I thought if someone did get 7 years, they definitely would, during that time, would be literally reborn. In other words, they would come out as a new person, as a free man. And not only that, but they would know what it's like to walk in someone else's shoes. They would understand what it feels like to be criminalized. I mean, there's no doubt they committed crime, so they are being treated as criminals. But it's kind of ironic that those two gentlemen, being law enforcement officers, and they put probably so many people away, specifically on the war on drugs, now they will get a taste of their own medicine. I doubt they'll really go to, I don't know if they'll go to like general population or whatever, them being law enforcement officers. Maybe they'll go to like a low security prison, federal prison, where it'll be like a prison hotel or something. I don't know. I never been to a jail or anything like that, so I don't know the details, and I don't talk about it. Like if you ever notice like people who go to jail, they like to brag about how they went to jail and what jail they went to, and they talk about what it's like. That's the mind of a criminal. So anyway, that's the mind of a person who goes to jail. But anyways, I'll just wait to see it. I'm just throwing some really crazy, ideas out there. Anyways, on another note, it has been 7 years since the introduction of the concept of Bitcoin. It's kind of interesting, and I like to see how the rest of the year plays out. Anyways, back to those gentlemen. I think they'll get a taste. They'll walk in. They'll know what it's like to be. I wouldn't say criminal, but they'll have a better understanding what it's like, or hopefully they'll have a better understanding what it's like to be a Bitcoiner. I think in a lot of ways, because I think I really do believe that people who use Bitcoin and people who believe in Bitcoin are criminalized for no reason. And but these people actually committed crime. So, but I think they'll understand what it's like to walk a mile in the shoes of a person who believes in the use of Bitcoin. They'll have a better understanding what it feels like to be. Well, they'll probably know what it's like to be prosecuted. But now I think the fact that they were law enforcement officers, now they're criminals, they'll know what it feels like to be persecuted. And hopefully when they come out, I wish both of them, they both come out born again. I mean, 7.5 or 6.5 years for Colin Mark Forrest. That's almost 7 years. I mean, he's almost a different person by the time he comes out. There's no doubt about that. But I hope, they they become reborn, they become another person, and they come out as free men. They are men, so they'll come out as free men, and they'll understand and appreciate what it means to be free, and have a better appreciation of freedom and what it means to fight for it, what it means to preserve it, and not take it for granted. So anyways, let's go on to a chart analysis here. And so what we're looking at here is Bitfinex. I guess I can use another chart, but I've just kind of been looking at Bitfinex. You'll see this pretty much very similar. Maybe the trend line going down is a little steeper, but let me back out. Let me back out so you all can see where I made the lines and how I did this, okay? So when it breaks up so fast and everything, and these fib lines don't make sense, and yes, I'm using these fib lines because if you saw my previous episode, there seems to be something to it. And so I'm using the fib lines, and what I did was I took this point right here to the point where it just started going up like crazy and then bounced down. So I took that and put it here because it made the most sense as far as what I saw from the past and to now, because I tried it right here but it didn't line up. So you kind of have to draw lines, or these fib lines, until they make some sense, some correlation that you can use. When you start mapping out your chart, it's really important because it gives you better insight on your trading. So when you so I made the lines here, and it seemed to correlate this bounce here and then this bounce here, and then it just didn't push up any higher. So I knew that this would not just continually go, it would come down. I wanted to know where. My guess initially at the time when it was reached this high right here was I thought it would retrace back down to this line based on that candlestick, but that candlestick didn't show up on any other exchange other than Bitfinex. So the next option was this line, which I did put in a limit order, and it did hit. So and I waited it out, and so let me just go on a foresight. So now we saw the hindsight, so let's go to foresight now. Okay, so that's where I'm getting this chart. And then of course the lines is very simple. I had to redraw a line several times because when it retraces and does this, I knew I had a feeling it wouldn't break down as long as it was able to range within this between those two fib lines right here. So just had to redraw the support line, and as long as it didn't break below this particular fib line, which was at let me see what's the price, 263, that there's a good chance that it would go back up. And so far it looks like it is, because as I drew the resistance coming down, I drew it down here, and then it didn't quite break. I knew if in order for this to be considered a support, this being support, not only did I have to break out of this, but it had to somewhat go higher above this fib line, so which it has. So let's pull it forward and let's see what. Okay, I can zoom in here a little bit. Can you see that a little bit better? So now I'm basically right here, and the fact that it broke above this fib line, never broke down here, and then now it's kind of following this trend here. Now you get a better idea, you get a better mapping of your chart. Now you can kind of make better speculated guesses, I guess. I don't know what to say, but you're still speculating, but at least you have a better way of speculating. So there's some, and I use the support line in conjunction with the fib lines to give me a time frame. So you can use Fibonacci as a time frame as well as pricing. It seems to go in the theory of waves and also triangles and channel lines. I mean, they seem to all correlate. And so if it continues here, it may bounce around here a little bit. I'm hoping that we'll just have to see. I'm already in a position, and I already made my limit order, and my limit order has already been hit, and so I'm okay. Depending on your strategy, I always take a little bit. I'm always trying to gain a little. I'm not trying to risk too much because just in case if the price goes down, I want to be there to support it by buying at a lower price, because I still think we're at the beginning stages of trending up, at least the price trending up. And if you've seen what's been going on, and in my videos, it looks that way. It looks that way, and if it looks that way, it probably is. Anyways, so let's take a look. I'm already in a position. People talk about bull traps. Doesn't matter for me because I'm already positioned. Okay, I'm whether it's a bull trap or not, doesn't matter to me, because if it goes down in price, I'm just gonna buy some more at a lower price, which is really great. Matter of fact, when the price was rising, people were complaining that the price is rising and it's not cheap anymore. It's kind of ironic, but anyways, on an hourly here, you're seeing a breakout, broke out above, came back down, and then pushed above. If it's already finished on an hourly, which is a good sign, we'll see how it goes. If it stay above here, I think this certain time frame right here, and this is going to be one whole video. I'm not going to cut in and out, of course. What time? Wednesday, 4 a.m. Central Time in America. All right, Central Time, basically Houston time. And so from this time to here, I'm gonna anticipate something happening. As closer as it gets, I'm gonna anticipate it. If nothing happens, and again, what I do, and it's up to you. You can either kind of position before it happens, you can position after it happens, or at that time, whatever you want to do. But usually I wait for a confirmation, because sometimes it may not. So from here to here, I'm looking for some kind of confirmation that this price is going to go up, which usually is the actual price going up. But what I do at that point is I buy on the dips, because we're in an uptrend. And when it's a downtrend, you sell on the tops if you're able to figure out where the tops are, or on the ups. I buy on the dips on an uptrend, because I know the price is already going to go that high. It's confirmed. It's trending up, and on an uptrend, it's always going to be a higher high. And so willing to take that chance. I mean, I'm already in a position. I'm just trying to grab a little bit more on the way up, part of a momentum trade. As it goes up, I'm buying into it as well, and I'm pushing the price up higher, and then supporting the price. And so it makes sense if everyone starts doing that. I mean, it just makes sense. It's going to go up higher. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. I don't know how high it's going to go. I did another chart analysis on the previous episode where I think it still can go up to 280. Ultimately, you want it to go past the last high, or the most recent high, which is around 320, 315, somewhere around there. If it can go up to 350, I mean, that's a target number that I'm looking for, because that's when I actually started keeping my gains in Bitcoin instead of just selling out into fiat currency when I was trading peer to peer. And so 350 is where I thought is a good point in time where you can make your gains. The way my strategy works, even though 350 was when I started keeping my gains in Bitcoin, it doesn't mean when it goes back up to 350 I'm going to break even. I've been keeping gains all throughout below 350, and the fact that it rises up back to 350, I've got more Bitcoins now than before I started, when I started keeping my gains in Bitcoin at 350. And so when it goes back up to 350, I didn't break even. I actually made out a huge gain. And so 350 I think is a good target number. After that we'll see what happens, but 400 is not that far off either. In the years to come, especially next year, I think only time will tell. But I'm a little biased, as you know. I always think it's going to go up. I mean, every day I when I wake up, I just say to myself, did the price go up? I mean, that's just the way I'm wired now. Anyways, let's conclude this episode. Hope this was helpful. Feel free to like, dislike, leave a comment, even do a video response. Until next time, stay tuned. Bye.